Hey everyone, we are the Final Bosses podcast. This is episode 4. Here with me, as always, my co-host, Ultimate Floyd. What's up, man?
Not much, man. I've been pretty busy these past 2 weeks, but I'm glad we're able to get together and record another podcast.
Yeah, I almost didn't think we were going to be able to record an episode for this week, but we managed to pull through.
Yeah, we kept kind of like changing the times for recording, but finally, looks like things lined up.
I know you just said you were busy, but did you get a chance to play some good games?
So this segment's gonna be quick for me. Honestly, I haven't played hardly anything these past 2 weeks. I've been playing a little more Metroid Other M. I really should have been finishing this game by now, but I think I'm very close to the end now. I'm at the point where they're actually finally allowing me to backtrack. Like, it takes forever to even get to that point. It's ridiculous, but I think I'm finally nearing the end, and I feel the same. I feel like the story is getting even worse. I just got through a cutscene that it pissed me off how terrible it was, and just like how not like Metroid it was, and just like what they did with Samus as a character.
I think I know the exact fucking scene you're talking about.
It has to do with her.
Ridley, right?
That's a terrible one too, but this one has to do with her and Adam Malkovich.
I think I know what you're talking about now. Okay, it's that long flashback.
No, it's a current scene. It's like
but you know what? There's so many bad scenes.
No, yeah, every single cutscene is terrible in this game, but this one, the dialogue was just I wanted to fuck it. I was cringing so hard through this cutscene. I was just like, this dialogue, my god. And it's just like all the choices they make with her character, and it's just it's angering. But the gameplay, you know what? I don't hate the gameplay in this game. It's not Metroid at all. Like, it really lacks the isolation, the exploration. But I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's not like offensive or anything like that. It's just mostly boring. But there are some fun parts here and there. But yeah, it's definitely the weakest Metroid, and it deserves all the hate it gets. Other than that, I did actually end up getting a Switch. Although, to be honest, it's kind of collecting dust right now. I don't have too many games for it. I have Binding of Isaac and Cave Story. I've never actually played Cave Story longer than like 30 minutes. I thought this would be a good version to get.
Dude, Cave Story is fucking great.
Yeah, no, the music I've heard, like the soundtrack I've heard, and it's fucking phenomenal. I love the soundtrack. But yeah, not really played the game, actually.
It's kind of a Metroidvania of sorts.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, it looks up my alley. Like, it looks like the type of game I would really enjoy. But yeah, I know ARMS came out recently. Everyone's kind of been playing that, but it's like $79.99 here in Canada. And for that type of game, and for how thin it is on content, it's not worth it to me. I don't know. It looks fun, but at that price, it's just not. I don't know, not tempting me. But
yeah. I mean. And plus, I think you said you're not, like, super big into fighting games.
No, I'm not a fighting game guy at all. Even though this one looks kind of interesting, like a cool take on the fighting games. It reminds me of Punch-Out a little bit, but
yeah, I was thinking Punch-Out 2 when I saw it.
Yeah, Splatoon 2 is probably the first major release I'm getting. I didn't play the Splatoon on Wii U, and it always looked like a really fun game to me. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of what I've been playing. Yeah, I haven't been playing too much. It's been a busy past few weeks.
Mainly all I've been playing is Tales of Berseria, because I finished Zestiria. And Zestiria is going to get its own video at some point. But I gotta say, at first I didn't think I was going to jump into Berseria right after Zestiria. I was thinking, like, I gotta take a break. And I kind of did. I actually watched The Wolf of Wall Street right after I finished Zestiria. I'm like, I don't even want to play any games. I'm going to watch a movie, a long-ass movie. And it was awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorite movies of, like, the past 5 years.
Oh, it was great. I fucking loved it. Like, it was... I kind of joke because, like, my coworker is exactly like the main character. And I basically was watching this movie. I'm like, this is if they gave Javier fucking millions of dollars. This is him. Like, he's a piece of shit.
calling out your coworker.
No, get this. He's seen the movie, and it's his favorite movie of all time.
It's funny because it's I guess people assume like that movie glorifies all the behavior in it, but I don't agree with that sentiment at all.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
No, yeah, that's like the one criticism I hear some people say towards that movie, like the only one.
That's a load of bullshit. No, that this is like a pseudo autobiography of this guy's life, you know?
Yeah.
Not only that, but how is it glorifying it when it ends with him? Well, I guess I shouldn't spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but I'll just say like it ends badly for him. I'll say that at least.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. I cannot believe people like watch that and that's what they get from it. It's just, I don't know.
Like, if anything, like the entire movie, I think most normal people would just look at this guy and be like, "Wow, what an enormous piece of shit."
Yeah.
And I think the only other people would be like people like my coworker would look up to him and be like, "Oh, what a god!" Like. But going back to Berseria, I think I'm pretty decently far into the game. I have all my party members already, and wow, like I would almost go as far as like the jump in quality is almost that of like Devil May Cry 2 to Devil May Cry 3. Although to be fair to Zestiria is nowhere near as bad as Devil May Cry 2. But just to give an idea of just how much of a jump in quality there is between these two games, it's crazy. Like, I'm absolutely loving Tales of Berseria. Like, it's turning out to be one of my favorite games in the series if it keeps this up. Like, if it keeps up this momentum for the rest of the game, like, I'd be comfortable saying it's at least in my, like, top 5, maybe top 3 in the series. Like, it's that good.
It really is, and it does keep the momentum. It's great from start to finish. The ending's really strong as well.
Awesome. And I was actually like I was actually kind of glad I beat Zestiria before playing this one, because there are certain locations I recognized and I was like, "Oh, this eventually becomes this area." It's like, "Oh, that's actually pretty cool." And there are some like things that I recognize. So I'm guessing like the demons are basically what they call the Hellions in Zestiria. The Norman are also there. They call them Molochs in Berseria, but they're basically the Seraphim in Zestiria. So like it has these interesting connections to Zestiria because they do take place in the same continuity and in the same world. But I do like that they're not called the same thing, because it would make sense that they're not called the same thing, because it takes place like hundreds, if not thousands of years before Zestiria. So like for the names to be completely different makes a lot of sense, because that's just how things are. Like the names of things wouldn't stay the same. Like what we call one thing now was different, hundreds of years ago, let alone thousands of years. So the fact that they took that into consideration is like a good attention to detail, I'd say.
Right. Yeah, it's really cool. I love all the connections between the two games, actually.
And as kind of like mediocre as Zestiria was, like Berseria is kind of like propping it up a little bit and making it kind of better just by Berseria existing. But aside from Berseria, I haven't really played anything else. Haven't watched any anime either. But I know you have, and we'll get into that later.
Yep. Yeah, I actually was able to watch the 3 episodes like right before recording, pretty much.
Yeah, I for a little bit there, I thought we weren't going to be able to talk about it this episode. We were going to have to postpone it, but no, it looks like that wasn't the case. But E3 happened not that long ago as of this recording, so I think, not go through a huge detailed conversation about it, but, I think we should give at least a few quick thoughts on E3, maybe a few games that we thought were interesting. So I don't know about you, but actually I think you aren't a fan of this game, but the one that kind of stood out to me the most as being the most exciting of E3 was the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Yeah, I know you were excited for that. It's weird. Like, I've played maybe, I want to say maybe like an hour or two of Shadow of the Colossus. I got to like maybe the third Colossus, and I don't know, something about that game just didn't grab me, and I just found it kind of tedious. Like, anytime you'd fall off of them, you'd have to get back on and do the same kind of thing over and over again. And the controls just really, I don't know, they really put me off.
I mean, I have a solution for you, man. Get good.
I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna play this remake because I feel like I might be able to get into it more this time, because this was like years ago, and there's been a lot of games where I play them and don't get into them, but I play them years later and I finally enjoy them, like Metroid Prime and Super Mario 64, for example.
Yeah, and in fairness, I don't know which version you played. Well, did you play
the PS3 one?
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say like the original PS2 version suffered from some pretty bad frame rate. But I'm assuming that this PS4 remake is going to be fine on that front. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to have the weird pop-in issues that the original PS2 version had. Something I am kind of disappointed in is they say it's going to just be a straight remake. They're not going to add anything, which I think it would have been nice if they added some stuff. I'm not mad about it, but it is kind of disappointing. I would have liked to have seen maybe a few of the cut Colossi that were originally in the planning, and there were a few that were like not necessarily implemented, but there were a few that were kind of like through the production of the game existed in some form of another. But I'm guessing, I don't know, I guess they just decided they should just keep it the same, which I can't really blame them for that.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was really surprising to me that I was not expecting a remake of that game. I
don't think anyone was. But I'm not complaining. I think it's great. And I think more people that can enjoy that game, the better. And I think personally it's a masterpiece. I don't really throw that word around often, but I feel pretty comfortable saying that for Shadow. I don't know if I go quite that far for Ico, although I do like Ico a lot. But I feel like between Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, I feel like Ico is more of an experience, while Shadow of the Colossus is an experience, but also a video game.
Yeah, Ico I couldn't get into. That game was not my cup of tea.
Yeah, that one is definitely a lot harder to get into. I still really love it. I still think it's great, but I think it has more annoyances.
Yeah.
I haven't played The Last Guardian at all, though.
Oddly enough, I loved Last Guardian, actually. A lot of people seem to hate it, but I don't know. I like that game, actually.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I hear that one is actually more similar to Ico. Strangely enough,
that's what I hear too, which is why it's surprising I liked it as much as I did.
Maybe you should give Ico another chance.
Maybe.
I don't know. Was there anything else at E3 that kind of like? Oh well, obviously I know your answer. Like, right halfway through that thought, I'm like, no, wait a minute, I know your fucking answer. Go ahead.
Well, there's two things. At first, I actually, a lot of people, I guess, were hating on this E3. I thought it was pretty good, honestly. I thought there was enough exciting things that were shown off.
Like cars.
Like Sony's conference was maybe a little underwhelming, but they had Monster Hunter World, and this game, the trailer they showed was kind of a poor trailer, actually, because they showed gameplay on like a Japanese stream a couple days after that, and I guess people were worried that this was going to be like this really dumbed down Monster Hunter game, and it would be like appealing to Western audiences and be like nothing like the previous Monster Hunter games. But no, this is Monster Hunter, and it's like the amount of improvements they've made is absolutely staggering. Like the AI in this game, like the way monsters interact with each other is absolutely incredible. The way you can manipulate different parts of the environment, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's like the HD Monster Hunter I've been wanting for years. Like I'm so sick of like the I don't know, like yeah, the really low res visuals in the Monster Hunter games, and being on portable systems for so long. It's nice to have a console Monster Hunter again. It's got like the seamless open world. There's no more loading between areas. Like everything they showed on this Japanese stream was fucking incredible. Like I am pumped for that game. It was really exciting.
I heard that the Monster Hunter series has shown like very little growth over the years.
It has. There's been very little growth between games, and this looks like the biggest jump that they've ever made. It's actually honestly kind of insane.
That's cool. I mean, I never really played any of the Monster Hunter games, so I never really got into them. I don't know. They just didn't really interest me based on what I saw, but then again, I just never really tried it, so I don't know.
I think you'd like it. The combat in those games is like really good, like really in depth between all the different weapon types, and then the AI on the monsters being so different from one another. And it's a really great co-op game too. And the customization, the RPG elements are really excellent as well.
Okay. Is it going to be... Well, I mean, it was announced at Sony's E3, but do you know if it's going to be like PS4 exclusive, or is it maybe going to be on Steam?
So it's PS4, Xbox One right off the bat, and then I think a few months later they're doing it on PC, which is pretty awesome too. I think that game has like the Monster Hunter series. I think would get a great audience on PC, similar to say the Souls games.
I mean, yeah, between the console versions and playing it on PC, I think I'd rather play it on PC just because I don't have PlayStation Plus, and if I can play the game online for free, I think I'd rather do that.
Yeah, as much as I want that game day one, I think I might wait for PC as well. But yeah, it was a really exciting part of E3 that I just wish they didn't show that one trailer they showed, because the Japanese stream they showed, like the gameplay was so much better.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer that they showed at Sony's conference, I mean, it didn't look bad, I guess, but like, I don't know, it felt more like they were showcasing, oh, look, it's a new Monster Hunter, and it's finally in HD, rather than anything else.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But for E3, honestly, Nintendo to me killed E3. Like they did a really good job. Like, I mean, obviously, Metroid Prime 4 was like the big one. Like, there's a bunch of videos on YouTube of like reactions to that, and it's honestly kind of insane how excited people got for that. Just a logo on the screen.
People got insulted by that. People were like, "How can you people get so excited over a logo? No gameplay, no nothing." And it's like, fuck you. I mean, I'm not even a Metroid Prime fan. I mean, I'm nothing against the games or anything. I just never got around to really playing them. But even I'm like, these people have been waiting like 10 fucking years for a new Prime game. Let them have their fun. Let them enjoy this announcement. Just shut up.
Yeah, it was pretty annoying seeing those types of people. But yeah, Nintendo actually like listened to their fans for once, and 2 Metroid games, not 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3DS one, at first I was actually hesitant because it was announced that Mercury Steam was developing it, and honestly I think they're a trash developer. I've hated every game that they've put out. Every game Mercury Steam has done, I've hated. I've hated what they've done with Castlevania. So I was worried, but I watched the Treehouse stream of that game, and you know what? It actually looks really good. I'm still don't know whether it's gonna be better than the another Metroid 2 remake, the 2D one that one fan did. Like that game was amazing, but there are a lot of interesting choices they've made with this game, and it seems to be the core of Metroid. And I think Mercury Steam, they can finally make a good game under Nintendo's guidance. It seems so. I'm actually looking forward to that game now. But when they first announced it, I was like, ugh, I don't know.
Well, with Mercury Stream, I actually did like the first Lords of Shadow. Not a great game, but
gross. Gross.
It's not a great game by any means, but I thought it was solid, you know. But then they released Mirror of Fate, which I thought was No,
that game is like, I hated that game.
I didn't hate it, but for everything I thought it did good, it did something else that was stupid. Like, it's a pretty forgettable game. That's the best way to put it for me. But then they released Lords of Shadow 2, and then I was like, fucking what? What?
I played half of that game. I couldn't take any more after that. I was just like, no, I can't do this.
It's their worst game. Like, I haven't played Clive Barker's Jericho, so maybe that's worse. I hear that game is pretty bad.
Yeah, I played that game for a little bit too. I couldn't. Yeah, that game is terrible too. I don't know. Their games suck. I don't think they're good.
I think the first Lords of Shadow is at least decent. But yeah, Mirror of Fate's mediocre at best, and Lords of Shadow 2 is a fucking mess. Oh god, that game was such a chore. It's like, how do you turn like playing as Dracula with badass powers and make it lame? How do you do that? There's literally a scene where he like rips out a giant demon heart and crushes it with his hand, and it's actually a pretty badass scene. And like at the end of the game, like I don't care if I spoil it because this is a stupid game. You kill Satan at the end of the game. But then if you try to go back to like one of the starting areas, you could still get killed really easily by one of the starting enemies with their plasma rifles. Makes no fucking sense. You literally kill Satan at the end of the game, but some fucking schmuck in power armor and a plasma rifle can kill you. Fuck this game.
Yeah. There was like a bunch of stealth sections in that game too, where you would get like one-shotted.
And it felt so demoralizing. You're the prince of fucking darkness. You're Dracula, but here you are, literally scurrying around as rats on the floor.
Yeah,
it feels insulting. Like, ugh, fuck that game.
No, but yeah, the Metroid 3DS game actually looks really good. I'm surprised. I was surprised by that.
I think Nintendo's kind of like reining them in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they helped Team Ninja with Metroid Other M, and we know how that turned out.
That's
so I don't know.
True. That is true, but I think the difference here is Metroid Other M was like a brand new game, and this is a remake. So I think they're going to treat it with a little more reverence and a little more respect.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. The only other thing with E3, the Mario Odyssey trailer is probably the best trailer for a game I've ever seen. Like that trailer was hype because it was like it's the way it started was perfect, where it was like the dinosaur and you're like, what is this? Is this like Xenoblade again or something? And then you think it's like Monster Hunter, and it's like, no, it's like a regular T-Rex. And then you see the Mario hat, and then it's just like this crazy jazz music, and you see him like you're possessing all this weird ass shit, and then at the ending you possess the dinosaur and you like possess a human. All the worlds look extremely like varied. That game looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait for it.
I don't think I'm quite as excited as you, but I am excited. I like Mario, so it looks like a fun game.
Yeah, I'm also excited that it's like back to a Mario 64 style game.
Yeah,
I
agree.
We haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah, I never played Sunshine personally. Like, I just never played it. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played it either.
But apparently, like, Sunshine is very similar to Mario 64, but I loved Mario 64 as a kid. Like, I played it a lot as a kid. I haven't touched it in years though, but I just remember having a lot of fond memories with it as a kid. And this does seem like a Mario 64-esque game, and that does seem appealing. Like it's nice that they finally went back to this style of game after like so many years.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything at E3 other than Shell of Colossus for you?
Xenoblade 2 looks really good.
Yeah, I'm hyped for that game too. Yeah, that game looks good. It's weird though. It's got like much more of like a traditional like anime look compared to the previous games.
It does. I kind of liked the art style of the first game, and I'm not really a fan of them going for a more straightforward anime aesthetic. Because I think the first game, well, yeah, it was a Nintendo Wii title, so it looked a little, funky. But the art style, the art direction made it feel more distinct. And I think it's kind of lost that with Xenoblade 2. But, whatever. It still looks like it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it'll be like a long, crazy game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I haven't really played much of Xenoblade Chronicles. I've only really played Xenoblade Chronicles X, which had a pretty nothing story, but really fun gameplay.
Yeah, this one looks to be going back to the original Xenoblade with like a really in-depth story, like a more story-driven experience, which I think a lot of fans of the original Xenoblade are going to be happy with that.
Yeah, I think Xenoblade Chronicles X was a pretty strictly mechanically driven game, and the writing and story and characters were all pretty secondary.
Yeah, it was more about world exploration and the growth of that. Like when you eventually do get your skills, like that's such a great moment in that game. But yeah, it was definitely more gameplay driven game.
Yeah, so hopefully Xenoblade 2 kind of marries the writing of the first game with the mechanics of X, and then we get like the perfect Xenoblade game.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Let's see. Aside from that, I can't really think of anything else that really jumped out at me. I'm also looking forward to Metroid: The Return of Samus. Like that looks awesome to me. But yeah, no, I can't really think of anything else. I may be forgetting something, but you know.
Mario Rabbids actually.
I don't know about that game.
I actually think that game looks okay. Like the rabbits, I fucking hate the
Me
rabbits. Like I
too.
don't care about them at all. But the gameplay of that game is like XCOM, so I'm just like, you know what? Okay, and it's so weird. That game looks so fucking weird that I actually I want to play it.
The thing I hate about the rabbits is that they remind me of the Minions.
They do, yeah, they do.
Like, which is weird to say because the rabbits came first. I think I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but ugh. I'm sure the game will be fine. I don't think Nintendo would like slap their star characters on a game that sucks. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
I guess one thing with Metroid Prime 4, it turns out Retro Studios isn't doing it, and it's like an in-house Japanese studio at Nintendo, which that's kind of interesting to me because that would make it the first-person game that they have ever done.
I knew that Retro wasn't working on it, but I didn't know that it was going to be in-house.
Yeah, that's what they've said, which is interesting. I don't know what to expect now with that game. It could be disastrous or it could be good. I think it will probably turn out well anyways, but yeah, I was surprised by that.
I think it'll be fine as long as they don't stuff all those cutscenes in it like Other M.
Yeah, they just I think I read somewhere that it's going back to like Metroid Prime 1, like that's the main inspiration for it, which is good because that Metroid Prime series started to fall off towards the end. It started to get way too focused on like side characters and action. I'm just like, no, it needs to go back to the exploration, the isolation, like what Metroid's all about.
Like pretty much everyone has agreed that the first Prime game is the best one. So like even me who hasn't really played the games can be like, yeah, good job.
Metroid Prime 2 is also really good. But it's got a lot of like issues.
I have heard a few people here and there that say they prefer Metroid Prime 2, but they seem to be the minority. The grand majority, the consensus seems to be that no, Prime 1 is the best.
Prime 2, I think a lot of people just like the more complex environments and the challenge of it. Like Metroid Prime 2 is definitely the hardest of the three.
And it always seems to me that like Metroid Prime 3 is kind of stuck in the middle. Like nobody feels particularly strongly about that one.
It's just too much shooting in it. It's like it almost feels like a first-person shooter a lot of the times.
When Metroid Prime 3 first came out, I actually did play a good chunk of that game, but I never finished it. I got stuck at some point, and I didn't know how to progress, and I just stopped playing.
It's still good. Like all three of the Metroid Prime games are definitely worth playing, but yeah, that first one is definitely the best.
Well, I do have the Metroid Prime trilogy on my Wii U, so one of these days. One of these days.
Yeah, that's the way I played through them. Good way to play them.
This is hot. This is like literally today. SNES Mini was announced, and it's going to come out in September. Holy shit. We already have the list of games as well. And I'm pretty surprised by this list. Like, this list is a lot stronger than I expected. And I'm sure, like, there's already a lot of people saying, like, it doesn't have ActRaiser. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. And, like, okay, understandable. There's plenty of great games that are not on this list. But I think it's a pretty solid list. I think it's pretty solid.
Honestly, there's only really 2 games that jump out at me that are missing that really should have been on there, which is Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is the big one. Yeah, I'm really surprised it's not on there.
That's a shocker. Like, that one, to me especially, is also like, really? Really?
Like, and then Secret of Mana is on there. Like, come on. Like, that game sucks. Like, get rid of that.
That game does suck.
Put in Chrono Trigger.
I don't understand why people like that game so much.
We're gonna get some hate already for that, but no, it's a terrible game. It's honestly bad. I don't even think it's like mediocre. It's just bad.
For me, it's just like, if this one thing was removed, I'd be okay with the game. It's just the simple fact that you have to wait for a meter for every single strike. Like,
no, that's a big part of it.
Like, I think if they just removed that, I'd at least think that, oh, it's an okay game. Like, But no, that makes fighting so frustrating, because what you instinctively want to do is just mash the button and hit the enemy as many times as possible. But if you do that, you do negligible amounts of damage. It's so frustrating.
No, yeah, and it's got like an incredibly grindy magic system. I hate the interface and the menus, like switching between weapons and armor. I hate the story. The localization is terrible. Like, the hit detection is awful. It's I don't know. I think it's a genuinely bad game. I'm surprised so many people like it. Like, it's got to be nostalgia or something, because like I just don't think that game holds up. The music's great though. The music's fucking awesome in that game.
I think part of it is nostalgia, but it's also a multiplayer game. So I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of fun playing it with friends.
Yeah, it's funny because I played it fairly recently with one of my buddies that hadn't played it before either, and we both hated it. We were both like, "This sucks."
Oh shit.
But anyways, enough of the Secret of Mana hate.
One thing that's like really shocking is Star Fox 2.
Yeah, okay. So the interesting thing with this is there's a prototype of Star Fox 2 that's floating around on the internet. It's been around on the internet for a long time. But this is actually the finished version, which apparently only people at Nintendo and Argonaut Software have played. So this is going to be the first time people actually get to play the finished version of that game.
Actually, I think there are like multiple prototypes of it. I think there was that.
I
think there are at least like 2 or 3. I think it's only 2, but like I'm pretty sure there's multiple versions of the prototype that have been like around the internet. But I didn't know that there was a finished version. I thought they had just stopped at production at some point. So that's actually cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've played the prototypes a little bit. It's one of those games that's like the Super Nintendo is struggling so much to run that game. Like, it's a really ambitious game for the time, but it's rough as far as like frame rate goes. So I wonder if the finished game actually improves upon that.
Well, I mean, it is. It's not going to be running on actual Super Nintendo anymore, so they don't have to.
That's true.
They don't have to be beholden to the limitations of the console. If they wanted to, they could just like make the game run as smoothly as they want to.
Yeah, one of the surprising things about this is the fact that Yoshi's Island and Star Fox are on here, the Super FX chip games, which have never been released before on Virtual Console, or actually they've not been released before ever since the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play. I've never played Yoshi's Island, so I'll now finally be able to play this game.
Best Mario game, hands down. Is a masterpiece.
Wow,
it's so good.
Fighting words.
No, that game is a goddamn masterpiece. Like, it's so good. I'm happy that people finally get to play that game. Or the best version of it, rather. The Game Boy Advance version of that game sucks. It's terrible.
I look forward to playing it because I've always heard, and I've seen playthroughs of it here and there, and just people raving, gushing over Yoshi's Island, just like, oh, this is fucking best. The fucking best.
Nah, It's fantastic.
I'm also really glad to see Mega Man X here because, I mean, I know Mega Man X 2 and 3 has its fans, and I haven't really played those games much. But like for me, Mega Man X is fucking great.
Yeah, X is a classic. I'm such a hardcore Mega Man fan that I want X2 and 3 on here anyways, just because I actually love those games. I actually like X3 and X2 more than X, oddly enough. I'm probably one of the few people that are like that, but X is still fucking amazing. Classic game that was just absolutely amazing.
I'm glad we're getting X over 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to shit on 7, I don't think 7's like a bad game, but X blows 7 out of the water.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we're getting 7 on that Legacy collection Capcom's doing too. So,
which is a bunch of bullshit. I mean, you're gonna release 2 collections for like you could have put all of these games on one disc, kind of like that's what they did on the PS2 with the Mega Man collection. Granted, 9 and 10 weren't out at the time, but still, it's silly.
Yeah.
They could have put it all on one
I know.
on one collection.
I know. Yeah, ugh. It's dumb.
Fucking
yeah.
Capcom.
Donkey Kong Country, this is the one other thing. I wish 2 was on there instead of the first one. The second game is so much better than the first.
Yeah, I agree.
I understand why the first one's on here. I think it's the more iconic game, especially because at the time the graphics of that game were considered like state of the art. I think it's people look back on it probably more fondly. So I'm pretty sure that's the reason why it's on there. But number 2 is just it's such a better game.
Yeah, I get why they did it too, but like they could have done the same thing they did with Mega Man, where like let's put Mega Man 2. You know, who cares about Mega Man 1?
Yeah, Kirby's Dream Course is probably the other one that's a bit weird to me.
Yeah,
like it's a good game.
I mean, isn't that a golfing game?
It is. Yeah, it's a golfing game. It's fun. It's surprisingly fun. I don't really know why that's on there.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, I'm sure it's a good game. I remember watching a Game Center CX episode on it. Great show, by the way, Game Center CX.
Yes, yeah, that's a fun show.
But yeah, I mean, I really feel like out of all the games you have in the Super Nintendo library, you know, Kirby's Dream Course? Yeah, I don't know. I think they could have put something better.
Yeah, F-Zero I'm not crazy about, but I understand why it's on there. It has to be on.
Yeah,
on there.
It's an iconic Nintendo property. Like, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, you have stuff missing like Turtles in Time, which that I expected.
No, yeah,
Obviously,
that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious. Final Fantasy 3. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Really? It's 6.
Yeah.
It's not 3. Don't fuck with us. You're just going to confuse people.
I'm happy that's on there though, because like
Yeah.
I want to play that game again, and like the Super Nintendo version's the version like I'd want to play. Other like the Game Boy Advance version is probably the best one, but it's really hard to get a hold of that version unless you have a Game Boy Advance, which I don't. So
I'm really bummed that it never got a PSP remake similar to 4.
Yeah, I wish it did.
That would have been great. The PSP version of 4 is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
But no, yeah, I'm happy to see it here. I mean, it's a great game, so why not? I just think they could have gone like one extra step. It wouldn't have even been that much effort to go in and change the 3 to a 6. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, the list of games is really strong. There's The Secret of Mana is the only weak game here, honestly.
I would say like this is a better list of games than the NES edition, the classic edition.
Yeah, for sure. And Super Nintendo is when I feel like games there was more to chew on. Like a lot of NES games are kind of like arcadey type games where you can only play them for so long and they get boring pretty quickly. Super Nintendo games, like I don't know, that's where a lot of these games you would just play them for hours and hours, and they're just like they really stand the test of time.
Yeah, they're a lot meatier for sure.
Yeah. Another cool thing with this is that fact they give you 2 controllers. No more trying to get like a really hard to find controller separately. 2 controllers right out of the box, which is awesome.
Yeah, we can play, Street Fighter 2 Turbo without, having to worry about shelling out extra money.
Yeah, a few other things they've announced after like the main announcement. The cables are now 5 feet instead of 3. It's still not good enough, honestly, but I mean, at least it's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's better.
Yeah, and the other thing that they said they're going to have significantly more of these out than the NES Classic, but it's also going to be only until the end of this year. After that, they have no plans to do more of them.
What a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel like the demand for this is going to be even higher than the NES because the NES people knew that that thing was like crazy hard to get, and now they're going to think the same way with this one. And then I feel like the Super Nintendo is just, I don't know, probably maybe even a more nostalgic console, and it's a better console. Like it's my favorite console of all time. Like I think it's just absolutely incredible. So yeah, the demand for this is going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the demand is going to be higher than that of the NES, because I think the NES was more of a cultural landmark.
It was, yeah, that's true.
So, I think, here's the thing. I think the NES edition was more sought after to the general populace, while I think the Super NES is going to be more sought after by people like us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hopefully people will be able to get this thing.
Yeah. I'm going to, like, with the NES, I was like, you know what? I wanted it, but I wasn't too bummed I couldn't get it. I was just like, whatever. I mean, I can play these games if I really wanted to. But with this one, I'm like, I grew up with the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was my childhood. I fucking loved that thing. I have to get this thing. I have to.
Yeah, no, I have to get this. Luckily, I have ways to get it pretty easily. I'm probably not going to have a problem getting it like most people, but hopefully like this is like there's going to be enough out there where will be able to get this and it's not going to be a shit show like with the NES.
I hope I can get it. I really hope I can get my hands on it.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I hope everyone can. One other thing with this thing too, actually, I feel like a lot of people are probably complaining. Oh, this game is missing. This game is missing. There needs to be more games on here. The NES Mini was actually you could easily hack that thing, and it was a simple like it didn't take much work. You just put in the USB connector that came with it into your PC. You download a program, and then you just drag and drop ROMs to it. It was as easy as that. And this will be probably hacked within a month after release. So you'll be able to put every single Super Nintendo game on this thing very easily. So that's another exciting thing for me. It's basically going to be like Super Nintendo that has every single game released on it.
All right, so that was the SNES Mini. We're looking forward to it for sure. Now we are going to answer some questions. If you want to leave some questions, go ahead, leave them in the comments below, and we'll be sure to read them and answer them just like this. This one was by a longtime subscriber of mine, actually, Terry309. He asks, what is your favorite ending in a video game?
I got one. I can't say anything about it.
Well, yeah, let's try not to spoil anything.
Yeah, Mother 3 has my favorite ending in a video game. It's one of the very few endings in a video game to actually make me cry.
Wow.
Like it is extremely emotional. It's extremely satisfying, and it's a perfect ending to everything that occurred beforehand in that game. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Because play Mother 3. I know it's a pain in the ass to play that game, but it's like the ending is just absolutely unforgettable.
Well, maybe we'll get a GBA Classic Edition, and maybe we'll finally play Mother 3.
I hope so.
Well, one of the only video game endings that's ever made me cry was Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, surprisingly.
Still need to play that.
That has, like, even though, like, I already beat Final Fantasy VII before playing Crisis Core, so I technically knew what was going to happen, but just the way that it was presented in that ending was really powerful. It was an extremely powerful moment. And it was, yeah, just, I couldn't help it. The, waterworks just started happening. Like, oh, shit. Like, it was really emotional.
Yeah, I think Mother 3, The Last Guardian, and actually I think those are the only two. that have done it for me. Yeah. Actually, Undertale got me. Well, I don't think I cried, but it was close. Undertale is a really emotional game as well.
One that made me like, tear up a little bit. I think it was like a single was Katawa Shoujo, which is a visual novel. That one has like 2 story routes in particular that I think are like really great. The rest of them ranged from like okay to pretty good, but there were 2 stories in particular, like 2 story routes in particular that were like clearly the best and like clearly the best written. And one of those, kind of made me choke up a little bit towards the end.
Okay. So do you have a favorite ending?
I think the original Grandia might be my favorite ending, just because like that whole game is like a really wholesome adventure, and the way that they ended it, it's kind of perfect. It's just like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted, like it's really satisfying. What I wanted happened, and it was really great.
It is really good.
It's just a really nice, wholesome, heartwarming ending to a great game.
Yeah, for sure. I really like the Persona endings too. 3, 4, and 5 all have really good endings.
Oh, 3's ending I think is the best one. I think it's the most powerful ending of them.
I think you're probably right.
Because like 4's ending is kind of like bittersweet. 5's ending is also a little bittersweet, while 3's ending is like just, I can't say what happens, but like it's just like it feels more like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, that's tough for me. I feel like I probably agree with you though. I think.
Next question from Dreadful Boredom. He has 3 questions. His first one is, when will Nightmare be on the podcast? Or who do you have in mind as your first guest? Nightmare's a friend of mine. He's one of the hosts of the HPMP podcast, which I occasionally, hop in as well as a co-host. If he wants to join in, I'm fine with it. Or would you be okay with it?
For sure. I'm not actually familiar with him, but yeah, I'm up for basically anyone being on the podcast.
He's a good guy. Aside from him, though, I guess we can kind of branch this out as like who we have in mind as guests. Devil May Pie, for sure.
Devil May Pie, yeah. Fem Trooper, I think we've been talking about. She might come on at some point.
Yeah, definitely. She's very cool.
Yeah.
I think at some point, Crack Lotus.
Oh yeah, I think is he still doing YouTube videos? I feel like he's kind of.
I think he's kind of dropped off on that, but I mean that doesn't mean we can't still drag his ass in here, anyways.
That's true. Yeah.
I have a friend named Hyper Anime Reviews. He kind of showed some interest in wanting to be on the podcast. I'd like to have him on. I think he'd be fun to have on, especially for the anime segment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you guys have anyone else in mind that you'd like to see on the podcast, don't bother them or anything, but like just let us know and we'll take it from there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
His next question is, what franchise makes you wonder why people like it? Was able to garner fans and are defending it. And he follows that up with, for me, it's Metal Gear and the Uncharted series.
Pretty hilarious. You go first. You go first, though, because you go first.
Is it really that hard to understand why people like Metal Gear? I mean, it's a pretty fun series, but as coming from someone who doesn't like Uncharted that much, like I can see why people like Uncharted. Like they're basically like playable movies. Well, more playable than David Cage's games that hack. Okay, there you go. There you go. It's not a not a franchise, but David Cage's games. I honestly don't know the Sadness trilogy of fucking Indigo Prophecy, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. I don't know why people like those games. They're terrible. They're really poorly written. Just awful games. Like they're barely even games, especially Beyond Two Souls. Like I don't even think you could call Beyond Two Souls a game. Like I think that's the worst one. Like Beyond Two Souls is fucking terrible. Holy shit. Yeah.
No, that game is really bad. Like Heavy Rain, okay, Heavy Rain I thought was entertaining. It was like it just being a basically just like fucking up constantly and just like basically not taking it seriously. I was able to enjoy it. And just the complete absurdity of it, how dumb it was. But Beyond Two Souls is just fucking horrendous. Like it's not entertaining. It's a slog. It's boring. It's horribly written. It's like it's just awful. Like it's just bad.
Like I hate how emotionally manipulative David Cage is too. Like there's like in Beyond Two Souls, there's just a fucking random like almost rape scene that happens, and it's like, why? Like she's like alone in a bar, and then one of the guys like locks the door, and they're gonna like take advantage of her, and it's like, that's like, no, fuck you. Like you're just putting her in a completely vulnerable situation that adds nothing to the story just for the sake of garnering sympathy for the character. Go fuck yourself, dude. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, his new game Detroit looks terrible too. I have no interest in that game. I'm not playing it.
Fuck that. Ugh. Fuck David Cage. He is a hack. He is a fucking hack. He doesn't know how to write. His games are terrible. He just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
It's funny too because there was like 2 separate interviews for his new game, and at the one interview he's like, "This story is about humans, what it means to be human," and then the next interview he goes, "This story is about androids."
Oh god,
it's about the androids and their plight. I'm just like, come on, man, which is it?
He doesn't even know what his own story is about.
He's like, "It's my game's not trying to say anything. I don't have anything to say."
I'd agree with that. Oh god. I mean, Indigo Prophecy too. I mean,
like that game. Yeah, that game's a mess too. That game goes off the walls, batshit insane. It starts off actually okay though. It has a neat gimmick in the beginning too.
I'd say all of his games actually start off not too bad.
Beyond Two Souls, I probably hated every second of it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Probably Beyond Two Souls was bad even from the start. But I'd say like Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain at least started off competently enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indigo Prophecy definitely started the best with its like with the crazy shit at the beginning, and you have to like, you know, cover up the crime scene that you just were unwittingly a part of, and you're just like trying to figure out like what the fuck is going on, why did this happen? You know, he has amnesia or something, like what's going on? So it's like a really intense, crazy moment, and then the answers to that are like extremely underwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
And then zombie sex. I don't know how else you would call it other than that.
Pretty much is, isn't it?
Fuck David Cage.
Okay. For me, it's funny. He says Metal Gear and Uncharted, both series I don't like at all.
You like Metal Gear 5?
Metal Gear 5 I did like, because that game actually has good gameplay. I can't stand the gameplay at least in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. I haven't played 3, actually. I should probably
but the question is more specifically, you don't understand why other people, you know, like...
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I can understand why people like pretty much anything. And Metal Gear, I understand. I completely understand. People just like the crazy storytelling, and I think people like the stealth gameplay for the most part in those games.
Here's my thing, though. I think people take Metal Gear too seriously. I don't take Metal Gear that seriously. People seem to think like the Metal Gear series is like this narrative triumph in video games, and I'm like, are you people insane?
No, it's a pretty self-indulgent series. Like it's
like I love the stories, but not because I think they're like these narrative masterpieces. I like them because they're insane. Like at most maybe Metal Gear 2 with its like postmodern narrative. Like that's actually pretty like interesting and like really cool.
Yeah.
But you know, Metal Gear 3, I love Metal Gear 3, and it has some awesome character moments, but it's also really over the top and goofy.
It is, yeah, from what I've seen. I've watched like a playthrough of it. I haven't played it myself though.
But yeah, like, so can you think of a series where you just don't get it? Like,
Uncharted. It's got Uncharted. I fucking hate Uncharted. I've played all four of them, and it's just like I've talked about these games so much, but Uncharted 2 is probably what I would consider the most overrated game of all time.
oh,
Like
wow.
I think it's actually a bad game.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't understand how people like it. Just like it, like just the shooting is horrendous. The aiming is terrible. It doesn't control well. The enemies are damage sponges. The story's not very good. It's not well written. Like the cutscenes are nice. They're, I guess, well directed, but it's like the game is trying so hard to be like this Indiana Jones movie, and it's like the game part of it is so lacking. It's not fun to play. There's endless climbing sections that require no interaction on the player whatsoever. It's just every level. There's like hardly any actual level design to that game. You're just going through the environments. It's this big area of chest high cover. You go in, shoot a bunch of dudes, rinse and repeat. Like I hate Nathan Drake as a character. I can't stand him. Like most of the characters I can't stand at all. Like it's such a shallow experience. There's like nothing to it. And it's like anti-fun, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's like, Naughty Dog, just make a fucking movie. It's obviously what you want to do. Why are you making these games? They're not fun. Even Last of Us, I don't think is a fun game at all. Like that game at least has a good story to it though. Like the writing's good. I liked it for the most part, but like Naughty Dog, what are you doing? Like you guys obviously like don't have an interest in making a fun game. It's all about the cutscenes. It's like I don't know. It's not for me. I don't understand it. I don't know where the love comes from. It's just it's not what I want from a game at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of the series either, but I do at least get that, like, they're for casuals, I think.
I think so. It's probably why.
Like they're made for people that want to play a game, but want like a movie experience.
It's all about like I guess the spectacle, but
Yeah.
I mean even the set piece moments in that game. It's like I guess I'm too critical because I play through a set piece in those games, and I kind of like distance myself from it. I look at it from the design standpoint, and it's so lazy to me. I see all the what they like all the parts of it that like aren't really that have like no interaction whatsoever, and it's just like I don't know. It's just they bore me, and I don't know.
Have you played
Not for
the
me.
fourth one?
Yeah, I didn't think the fourth one was very good either.
Oh.
It was the exact same shit as the previous three games, but maybe like the storytelling was like a little better in that game. But at this, there were still like fucking endless amounts of climbing sections, just like really dull set pieces, like the same horrible combat that hasn't been improved whatsoever. Like the improvement gameplay wise between the four games is like it's almost non-existent. Like it's just like the same shit.
Damn.
But okay,
Damn.
enough of the ranting. I can't stand Uncharted, and it's funny that he brought up like two series I can't get into. But Uncharted, I fucking hate that series.
Okay, shit. I didn't expect.
Yeah,
I didn't expect
well,
that, but
I'll get some hate there. No, I've talked about them quite often.
no, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
a
I remember your
review.
video on it.
Yeah, I had like a series review, but yeah, it's yeah.
I just remember you being a little more like cool-headed in your review, and now you're just like, fuck the series.
No, I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't know because I look Uncharted 2 is considered like one of the best games ever made. I'm just like, how? Why?
I don't know. I never finished Uncharted 2. I got bored of it.
Oh, and the final boss in the Uncharted 2 is so fucking terrible. It's one of the worst final bosses I've ever seen in a game. Like it's so tedious. But okay,
All right.
yeah, enough of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Enough Uncharted. Hey, if you like it, that's cool. I'm glad that you're able to get into it. It's just not for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Question 3. What game that you've played has given you different outlooks on it? He then says, I'll elaborate. Basically, a game where you loved it first time playing it, but when playing it once more, you notice the flaws and didn't have the same love for it as you did previously.
Okay, good question.
Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh,
I'm sorry, but like Final Fantasy VIII was a game that, like, I played it in middle school, and it really, I really related to it because I was a stupid, angsty teen. So, like, I really gravitated towards, like, Squall's character specifically. And over the years, whenever I look back on the game, I just think about, like, all of the problems with the writing, and I'm just like, oh god, I was an idiot. Like, I just kind of, like, razor focused on, like, how much I related to Squall and how much I also wanted, like, the relationship that he had with Renoa. So, yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
And now I look back on it, I'm just, I feel like, oh god, that was pathetic. Like, god, fuck, what was wrong with me? But yeah, that's the only one I could think of where I had that like a really strong attachment to, and then over time I look back and I'm just like, kind of misplaced.
So I have one. It's actually sad now that I think about it. Jet Force Gemini. This is a game I loved as a kid. I played it through it multiple times. It was like one of my favorite games on the N64. And I played it again not too long ago on the Rare Replay collection with the updated controls, mind you. And man, it's not good. I
think that game deserves a remake.
It does, but I think there's a lot of cool things about it. Especially, like, it was a good game at the time. I think it was like mixing like Mega Man Legends, Zelda, and Metroid. Like, it had all these elements of different games, and it kind of felt like its own thing. But when I played it again recently, like, the combat just does not hold up. It's really clunky. It's almost impossible to avoid getting hit in that game. The controls, even with the updated controls that they had, like, they did a patch for the updated controls, it still controls really awkwardly. There's a lot of the way you have to backtrack to environments. I didn't mind it as I was a kid, but it was it's a little tedious now. The level design wasn't as strong as I remembered. Like, it's just it just doesn't, I don't know, it's just not as good as I remembered it being, unfortunately. So I can no longer call it like one of my favorite games like I used to.
I rented that game as a kid, and I remember enjoying it at the time. But even at the time, there was one thing that bothered me about it, and that was you had to save these little, like, furry guys, and they could die, and that could affect your ending, which I thought was bullshit.
Yeah, so that's another thing that annoyed me the second playthrough. If you, like, they're so easy to be, because the enemies can shoot at them, and it's like, if you don't know exactly where they are or how the level layout is, you're probably going to have one get killed. And you have to, like, restart the entire level anytime that happens, because to beat the game, you actually have to rescue every single one of them. So it's really tedious, and I was just like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah, that game deserves a remake where, with updated controls, obviously better graphics, and the simple fact that those little guys, I think they should make it so that there's less of them to collect and that they don't die. And I think that would fix a lot of the game's issues.
Yeah, there's cool things about it. Like, I love you have all these different planets that you travel to, and then you'll unlock abilities later in the game, and you have to revisit the old planets and unlock new areas in them. It's got that Metroidvania kind of thing going on, which is really cool. You have the 3 separate characters. They all have their different weapons, and you collect upgrades for them. You play as, like, the dog, which is really cool. It's got, like, a jetpack, and you're, like, flying around the levels. That's another thing. The game has really, really bad platforming in it that's just really annoying, especially with the camera being really bad as well.
Things that could be fixed in a remake.
Yeah, a remake would be great, but the game as it is, even on the Rare Replay collection with updated controls, just does not hold up, sadly. It hurts me, man. I love that game as a kid. It's such a nostalgic game for me. Like, the music in that game is fantastic, but yeah, it's just not as good as I remembered it being.
That is a shame. And I feel you there, because I did play it as well. Next question is by Gene Leonhardt. He has like 5 of them. His first question is, do you feel that Tales of the Abyss is kind of underrated in the sense that it's the least popular overall of the Tales Holy Trinity, being Symphonia, Abyss itself, and Vesperia.
It's funny he says Holy Trinity, because those are my 3 favorite Tales games.
Yeah, I think they're everyone's 3 favorite Tales games. They're very similar to each other. They're all kind of... They use Symphonia's blueprints, basically. Like, I feel like Abyss and Vesperia are basically, like, improved versions of Symphonia in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. And then this is back when the games had world maps. Man,
yes! Vesperia has one of my favorite world maps out of any game, and it's such a bummer that world maps have gone the way of the dodo. I mean, look at Ni no Kuni. Ni no Kuni brought back world maps, and it was awesome. Just bring him back!
Yeah, I miss them so much.
Now, is Abyss kind of underrated? I'd say so. I think it's the most... Of these 3, I think it's the most, like, controversial. Like, most people like Symphonia, most people like Vesperia. And there are tons of people that love Abyss as well, but there's also, like, a lot of people that hate Abyss. And
Really?
Oh, yeah. Dude. Tons of people could not get past Luke.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like people don't want character growth. They just want, like, a fucking character that's, like... I don't know, the same the whole game. I don't know.
Luke is one of my favorite Tales characters, but at the same time, I can understand why people would have a hard time, because he is pretty bad in the beginning of the game. And I don't mean bad as in, like, poorly written. I mean, he is a fucking brat. And
yeah,
he can be hard to put up with.
I almost dislike him more, though, in the middle of the game. Because at that point, he's kind of just a wimp.
he a little bit, but then he keeps growing even further after that. Like, I liked that, like, even after he has that, like, you know, that epiphany and that point of realization, that, like, he didn't just stop growing. Like, even throughout the course of the game, he kind of, like, regained his confidence again. So, like, because originally he was cocky and arrogant and a piece of shit. And in the middle, he starts to learn how to be a good person. But by the end of it, he had lost his confidence along the way. And I think by the end of it, he learned to be a good person and be confident in himself at the same time.
Yeah, it's ultimately satisfying. Yeah, the character arc.
Yeah, I think he's personally, I think he's the most well written of the main characters. Like, Yuri is an awesome and entertaining and fun main character, and probably more, like, immediately likable, but I don't think he's as well written as Luke's character.
I'd agree. I prefer Yuri, but I do think Luke is the better written character.
So I think Abyss in general, some people will probably disagree with me on this, but I think Abyss has the best writing in the series.
I have to, like, I don't know. It's been a while since I played it, but I don't remember the actual story itself really grabbing me all that much.
You need to go and give it another playthrough.
I think so, because I remember just liking the characters more so than the story.
The story has tons of plot twists and, like, tons of shit that happens.
I think it probably is underrated. Because I feel like Symphonia and Vesperia are talked about more fondly than that game. And Abyss, honestly, is probably better than Symphonia. I'm sure if I played Symphonia again, I'd be like, a lot of this doesn't hold up so well.
I think Symphonia still holds up fairly well. Like, I think it's still a pretty good game, but I don't think a Symphonia is as good as either Abyss or Vesperia.
Yeah, Abyss, I remember Abyss, the one thing that annoyed me was, like, the backtracking in that game. Like, it was just, there's so much of that game where you're just going from one town, and then you have to go back to a previous town, then back to the other, then back to this town.
Yeah, and the world map sucks cock. Like, oh, that dude was bad. Like,
yeah, I think I remember that too.
And not even because, like, the world map is, like, badly designed. It just has a low frame rate and a slow-moving, rotating camera, which, ugh. Terrible. Which was, like, vastly improved in Vesperia. Vesperia has one of the best world maps out of any RPG I've seen.
Oh yeah, it's one of the big reasons why that game is my favorite in the series.
Kind of the way I see it, I think of the three, I think Vesperia is the best game of them. Like, when it comes to just, like, plopping down and just playing a game, Vesperia is the best of the three. But I think in terms of writing, I think Abyss is the strongest of these three, at least for me.
I can agree with that, I think.
You know, and that's not to, like, snub Symphonia. I think Symphonia is a really great game. I just feel like Abyss and Vesperia just kind of took what Symphonia did and just did it better.
Yeah. Like, Abyss is my third favorite Tales game. Like, I like it better than any of the recent ones. Like, after any of the ones after Vesperia, I liked Abyss better than all of them.
Which one's, I know Vesperia is your number one. What's your number two?
Berseria, actually.
Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's that good.
Damn, that is pretty high up there. I think you need to replay Abyss, though.
I do at some point, yeah.
Next question. Do you think Capcom will ever make a Devil May Cry 5? What do you want to see in that game if it gets confirmed someday? Do I think they're ever going to make it? I mean, Hideaki Itsuno did say that he's working on something. We don't know what that is as of this recording. I hope it's Devil May Cry 5. So, I mean, there is hope. As for what I want to see in the game, I don't know. As long as Hideaki Itsuno is the director of the game and Capcom actually lets him finish the fucking game this time, unlike 4, because that if anyone wondered why in Devil May Cry 4 half the levels are repeated, you can blame Capcom for that. Originally, there was going to be a whole other scenario where Dante literally goes down to hell and it was going to be badass, but no, they rushed that game out the door. So, all I want to see from the game is a finished game.
You know what I want to see? Ninja Theory developing it.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
No, I think they will make it for sure. Yeah, I mean, being just a finished game, but I mean, they were on to something with Devil May Cry 4. I mean, even with the recycled content, like the combat in that game was just terrific.
Godlike.
I think
it's so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just like, you know, improved combat, but similar to how Devil May Cry 4 did it. Still have like the level designs that are like, you know, I got some like slight puzzle solving in there, not totally like linear type levels, like a lot of like some good exploration.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I agree with all that. I'd also like to see them kind of tweak Dante's moveset a bit, because one of the slight disappointments of 4 is that a lot of his animations were basically copied and pasted from Devil May Cry 3. So I'd like for them to like change it up.
Yeah, because funny, because Nero I thought was a more enjoyable character to play as in that game.
I wouldn't go that far. I think the style switching for Dante makes him like infinitely more enjoyable, just because he has so much at his disposal.
He does, I guess. Yeah, I just really liked the arm. What was it called?
Oh, the Devil Bringer.
Yeah, I really liked that mechanically.
Yeah, it was fun, definitely. All right, next question. Which numbered Final Fantasy game you feel has the best soundtrack? Well, even though I just put it down earlier, I think I'm going to go with Final Fantasy VIII.
This is a tough one, because I've always thought about this, like which one has the best soundtrack. I'm gonna go Final Fantasy VII, actually.
7's, great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's like I like pretty much every song on that soundtrack. I always go back and listen to it. I think all the songs fit like the different parts of the game perfectly. Final Fantasy VIII is very close though, man. It's just like right behind. Like it's right behind, because I think Final Fantasy VIII has some of my favorite songs in the entire series. Like, but I don't know, 7. I think I like the soundtrack. It's like it's a little more consistent in 7. I like 8 has some tracks here and there that I'm not a big fan of, or 7 I like pretty much every single one of them.
I think my favorite track in Final Fantasy VII is the world map theme.
Oh,
it's so sweeping, and it really makes you feel like you're going on an adventure.
Yeah, I really like the world map theme in 8 as well. It's really like 8. I feel has like a more atmospheric kind of like subdued soundtrack that I really like. I like the Balam Garden song in Final Fantasy 8. Apparently, a lot of people hate that song. I love it. I think it's great.
People hate that song?
Yeah, I've seen a
Really?
few people that hate that song. Yeah, they think it's like repetitive and just annoying. I'm like, I don't know, man.
I think it's
I can
so
listen to that song
chill
today.
and relaxing.
Yeah, I really like it.
I also really like the theme of that one town that's like right next to Balam Garden. That I think the song is literally called Beach.
Yeah. I forget what the name of the song is.
No, that's
yeah,
the name of the song, Beach.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And it's so chill. It's you really it almost feels like, you know, if you go to an actual beach, like that song should be playing.
Man with the machine guns in 8 as well.
Oh yeah.
I changed my mind. Final Fantasy 8 has the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 8 has the best.
Dude, man with the machine gun is so good.
That song is like, yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, I also really love all of the songs related to the sorceresses, like all of them. Edea and there was that one random one towards the end of the game, and then like Ultimisia herself. Like all three like sorceress tracks are so awesome.
Yeah, what was there was other song, the Fisherman's, I forget what it's called.
Horizon.
It was like the one. Yes, that song is fucking amazing too.
Yeah, dude, the songs are so
Yeah.
good.
No, Final Fantasy 8. Yeah, I changed my mind. No, it's 8.
Yeah,
7 just behind.
7 is also great though, but I think the only thing that kind of holds it back a little bit is that it's MIDI.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Final Fantasy 6 has an amazing soundtrack too. That's my third favorite. Final Fantasy 6 has an incredible soundtrack.
And 9's soundtrack is also phenomenal.
Yes, 10's is really good. Dude, every Final Fantasy game, like that's the one constant with that series. Like
regardless,
the music is always good.
Regardless of how you feel about these games, the music is so good. Like
Yeah, no, it's
the music is so good. I think it makes the stories better just because you feel the emotions more.
Yeah, dude, even the MMO, Final Fantasy 14, I haven't played 11, but 14 has fantastic music. Like, I was blown away when I played that game for a bit. I was like, whoa, the music.
I heard 14 is just a great MMO, period.
It is, yeah. If it didn't have a fee, I would probably still be playing it.
I hear that it's for free up until, like, level 30.
It might be. It's been a while since I played it.
But yeah. Well, enough gushing over Final Fantasy music. The next question is, what is your favorite graphical art style in a video game? That's a good question, because it's not just the same as saying like, oh, just pick a game with the best graphics. This is more in regards to like art direction and, you know, oh man, that's a good one. The new Ni no Kuni, I think, has a really beautiful art style to it. I don't know if that really counts, though, because the game's not out yet. But that's definitely a really great-looking game.
I was going to say, like, you've seen Cuphead, right?
Yes.
Like, dude, every time I look at that game, I'm just like, my God. Like, that looks so good.
Actually, Ori and the Blind Forest, that game looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I haven't really played much of it, but like that game is like a moving painting. Like it just looks phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of pretty much anything cell shaded. I love cell shading in games. Like I think those games are like they hold up really well over the years. Like they're always going to look good.
We were talking about Vesperia before. To this day, it's the best looking Tales game.
Oh yeah. I've said that for a long time. It's still the best looking Tales game.
Yeah, I mean, that game just looks amazing. I'm hoping that the next Tales game it's like, please, just go back to how Vesperia looked, please.
Yeah, or like, maybe like I would like it if it looked like Ni no Kuni, for instance. Like,
We can only hope.
The Jet Set Radio games, I think, have really good art styles to them.
Oh, Digital Devil Saga looks awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Persona 5, actually.
Yeah, Persona 5.
Persona 5. Yeah.
Yeah, Persona 5 does look really good. But I think those PS2 Shin Megami Tensei games in general. Spot on with the art direction.
Yeah, from what I've seen of them, I really like the look of them too.
All right, next question is, what is your favorite handheld system? If I have to say, like, in terms of just the handheld itself, not taking the library into account, the Vita.
Oh yeah, hands down. No question.
But the problem is, while the Vita does have some good games, I would never say that the Vita's library compares to, like, most other handhelds. Like the 3DS has a better library. The original DS has a better library. Game Boy Advance has a better library.
I'm going to say 3DS.
Okay.
The library of games is just gigantic, and there's so many good ones. And then you have the original DS as well, that you can play on that too.
Fair enough. I'm going to say the PSP.
Yeah, PSP I can't... there's still so many games I missed out on, so I can't really say that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the PSP, like... ironically, the PSP has a better screen than the fucking 3DS does.
It does. It does.
Which is sad. But unlike the Vita, has the library to back it up. It has some fucking phenomenal games. Star Oceans 1 and 2. All of the East titles. It's got Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. It's got just Crimson Gen Saga. Jeanne d'Arc. Just tons of great RPGs, lots of great games. Just PSP. The PSP is the fucking shit. Like, it's the fucking shit.
Yeah, I'm looking into getting one. Like, I think I'm finally gonna jump on one.
Do it.
Because there's too many games on it that you can't get anywhere else that I really want to play.
Yeah, do it. Do it. You'll be happy with it. I'm positive you will. So, next we've got some questions by a long-time friend of mine, Swordfish1390. I've known this guy for years. Really good friend of mine. We should have him on the podcast too, actually. One of these days. But he asks, why do Silent Hill Homecoming and Downpour suck?
Well, they definitely suck.
I'm guessing both you and I are on the same page with these games.
Yeah, you might think one of them's worse than the other compared to me, though. But let's be honest, they're both bad.
They're both pretty terrible, but I think Homecoming is more insulting.
Okay, so we do agree. Yeah, I think Homecoming is the worst Silent Hill game by far.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
Homecoming is just like I saw an interview with one of the developers, and he was basically like, so yeah, like the combat in this series just sucks, so we made it good.
Good?
Like,
dude, I'd argue it's actually worse in that game than previous games.
But I hear that and I'm like, do you know what genre this is? How can you have such a fundamental misunderstanding of your fucking game?
I know, it's like combat was never the focus on these games, and it's like, and even like, and they made it worse anyways because it's got that shitty durability system. Like,
but they give you fucking combos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's hard for me to feel the fear that this game is trying to make me feel when I'm pulling off sick combos, bro. Like, what the fuck are you thinking?
No, that game lacks atmosphere totally. Like, it's just, they're like, the environments are just so, like, there's no atmosphere to them whatsoever. The level design is really annoying from what I remember. Like, it's like incredibly like maze-like, but in like these really irritating ways. Like, the story was insulting.
Oh yeah, story's terrible. Like, the excuse that they have for the main character being good at combat is contradicted by the ending. It's so stupid.
Yep.
Oh god, that game was bad.
No, I finished it, but it was just, like, I cannot believe I finished it. There's so many points in that game where I was just like, fuck this. Why am I doing this? I don't want to play this anymore. This is so bad.
But Downpour, I'd say, while not as bad as Homecoming, it's still down there. It's like right next to it, practically.
Still got like really like annoying combat that's almost was kind of a focus as well in that game.
Yeah.
The whole Downpour mechanic was really annoying too. The story was bad.
The enemy designs were terrible. They look like shit.
Like, there was also that weird side quest system in that game, which was like, what the fuck are you thinking?
It was pointless. Like, what was even the point of doing any of them? Unlike other games in the series where like you could actually hold on to items, a lot of the stuff that you get in Downpour can be used up like really quickly. So what was even the point of most of those side quests? You couldn't hold on to like. There were no permanent weapons that you could hold on to. You're always switching out weapons. So, like, if a side quest gave you a cool weapon, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose it at some point. It was so pointless.
Yeah, that game lacked atmosphere too. It was just, it wasn't creepy or unsettling whatsoever.
I'm sorry, but it's kind of hard to feel either creepy or unsettled when a demon police car would pop up to spawn enemies.
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. How could I forget about that? I remember. Oh man, that was so bad. I forgot about that.
It's such a. I mean, it's at least better than Homecoming, not by a whole lot.
No, yeah.
Like 0.1 better.
Yeah.
It wasn't as insulting.
You know, I don't like. He mentions these two games, but I didn't like any of the previous Silent Hill games. Like I haven't liked a single Western developed one. Even Shattered Memories that people love, I didn't like. Like,
oh, you really?
No, I didn't care for it. Like, the story was kind of cool, but like the actual gameplay part of it, like I hated the chase sequences.
I agree.
Like, it was totally lacking in atmosphere. It wasn't a creepy game. I didn't think it was creepy or unsettling at all. It was just...
The way I see Shattered Memories, I mean, if as a Silent Hill game, it just doesn't work. But I think if it was just its own thing, I think it would be a lot better.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see that. It's definitely the best of the Western developed Silent Hill games.
Yeah, and I think the story definitely has a lot more going on it than any of the Western ones.
Yeah,
but I do.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the chase sequence is kind of not great.
They went on forever. Like, they just would not end.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, ironically, like actually walking around with your flashlight and just finding shit. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was more fun because you could just take your time. It was more chill.
Yeah, no, but
you can examine the environment and. You can get little bits and pieces of like lore and shit. Like, it was more fun to do what would normally be a more boring part of the game.
Yeah, that Silent Hill Origins was just meh. It was just whatever.
Pretty forgettable.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible like Homecoming and Downpour, but it was.
But it did retcon some shit that, like
it did. Yeah,
like they completely retconned the whole thing with Alessa's death, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why? That was borderline insulting.
Yeah, it was.
Like Alessa's like, one of the things about her character is like the more like shrouded in mystery she is, like the better she is by focusing the light on her more in that game. You take away from her character.
Yeah. It's so depressing, Silent Hill. Like, that is one of the most depressing downfalls of a series, I think.
What makes it worse is that we were about to get Silent Hills, which looked like it was going to be amazing, only for it to get canceled. Yeah,
it's what a bummer.
I remember someone put this amazing tweet like, "Oh, Kojima left Konami, now the Metal Gear series is over. I hate this," or something like that. And then someone posted a pic of James, and it said Silent Hill fans. It's like, for me, it's always like this, and it's like that room on fire.
Yeah.
I'm getting depressed. Let's move on to the next question. What do you think of people who say that DMC, he's referring to the reboot, is worse than Devil May Cry 2?
So this is all you because I've never played DMC.
Oh ho ho ho. So let's get one thing straight. These are the two worst games in the series. There's no getting around that. That being said, I think people who think Devil May Cry 2 is better than the reboot are out of their goddamn minds. As insulting as the reboot is, it is at the very least, even the vanilla version, is a competent game. Devil May Cry 2 is a fucking mess. It is a boring slog. It has these giant open levels that are just boring to traverse through. The combat is really slow and clunky. The guns are super OP. You could just basically kill everything with your guns in a Devil May Cry game.
Yeah, I always remember the helicopter fight in that game, because it's like you pretty much had to use the gun, and you're just shooting it endlessly over and over again.
Oh, and that reminds me, the designs of the enemies in that game was terrible. A zombie tank, a zombie helicopter. Oh, yeah. It's so bad. And I mean, yeah, the writing in the reboot is awful. Oh, really bad. The dialogue is terrible. The story makes no sense. And to be fair, the story's never really mattered in the series, but the difference is that the reboot made it a point to try and give this series like a good story, a good narrative. And they put a lot of time and focus and effort into the story, and it just fails so spectacularly. The writing is terrible. At least in the original Devil May Cry series, it didn't take itself that seriously. So it didn't matter if the stories really weren't that good. It seemed like the games themselves didn't really care. It seemed like the story was just an excuse for the gameplay, as well as having awesome cutscenes with like Dante flipping around and eating pizza. So yeah, I don't know. I don't get how people can say Devil May Cry 2 is better. Like, you people are in denial. Like, Devil May Cry 2 is trash. Like, it is a legitimately terrible game, while the reboot is at worst like a mediocre game, like a subpar game. The definitive edition actually turns it into a pretty competent and pretty decent game. The definitive edition actually addresses a lot of the problems with the vanilla version. But even the vanilla version is leaps and bounds better than Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, I've heard even that the definitive version of DMC is not that bad.
Yeah, I'd say that if you're going to play the reboot, definitely get the definitive edition. It's not bad. Like, it's actually pretty decent. So, I think that's enough ranting from me. Mr. BBRHINO, I have no idea how that's...
BB Rhino?
BB Rhino, yeah, BB Rhino. BB Rhino 100 asks, what RPG franchises could you not get into?
It's easy for me. Dragon Quest. I can't do it. I've tried so hard to get into Dragon Quest. It's just, I don't know. It's like that battle system that's so dull and is the same from game to game. Just really slow, and like, and then just the fact that like it's like every single one is so generic, like medieval fantasy. Like Final Fantasy VIII is probably the best one from what I played, but even then, I only got like 30 hours into it. I was like, okay, if I had enough, I'm kind of bored with this. They just, I don't know, they just bore me. As there's just, I can get into games that have like Dragon Quest inspired battle systems, like Earthbound. Like Earthbound, I like it because it's, you know, super quirky and it's got the modern day setting, and it just, there's a lot of stuff to set it apart. Where Dragon Quest always felt so like samey from game to game and just kind of generic fantasy. Like the stories never grabbed me. Even Dragon Quest V, which people think is like this masterpiece, it really didn't, I don't know, it really didn't grab me all that much, and I actually ended up finishing that game. So yeah, Dragon Quest, I don't know, I don't even think I'm gonna get the new one. Like, as beautiful as that game looks, it's probably gonna be the same deal.
I haven't really played much of the Dragon Quest games, so I can't really say one way or the other. But I think for me, might have to be Wild Arms.
Oh. I've never played one, actually.
I tried playing the first one, I tried playing the third one, and I tried playing the fourth one, and I just couldn't get very far in either of them. They just didn't really hold my interest. Actually, I played a little bit of the second one, too. And, yeah, just didn't do anything for me. They didn't seem like bad games. Like, I wasn't, like, actively, like, hating on them or anything as I was playing them. But, you know, they didn't really do much for me either.
Yeah, I've looked at them. I know a lot of people are huge fans of them, and it's just, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, that's the kind of game I'd play when I've completely run out of other RPGs that I haven't played yet. Like, it's pretty low on the totem pole of RPGs I need to play.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like a bad franchise, but based on what I played, they seemed competent enough, but they didn't really do much for me. So, the last question by Ned993 asks, what battle system in a turn-based JRPG would you consider the best? He goes on to say, personally, I'd say it's the one in Trails of Cold Steel 2. To put it shortly, the way it all clicks together prevents it from feeling tedious to play, and makes it incredibly fun without being overwhelming, especially to someone who isn't a fan of turn-based systems. He then also says, way better than Persona and Final Fantasy. To be honest, I hated the battle system in Persona 4 Golden. Woo!
Yeah, so I first read the I hated the battle system of P4G, and I was like, what? But then I noticed, it isn't a fan of turn-based battle systems. So I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand that.
That being said, Persona 4, and as well as like 3 and 5, have some of the best turn-based combat.
Yeah. It's also funny, though, he says Trails of Cold Steel 2. That's actually another RPG franchise I couldn't get into, is the Trails games. I just, not gonna, that's a whole other thing, but yeah, I couldn't get into those.
Yeah, I couldn't really, I tried playing some of Trails in the Sky, and the gameplay really felt like a slog to me.
Yeah, it gets worse. Like,
yeah, I remember your video on Trails in the Sky second chapter, and you were just like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
It's real quick though. It's like, it's really a shame because I liked everything else about the game. I liked literally everything else about it, except for the gameplay, and it's a shame.
I'm not even really a big fan of like the story in those games. I think it just takes way too long to get going. Like the entire first game is like, most of it is like nothing. And then all of a sudden it's like a huge cliffhanger at the end of the game. And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then the second game, it resumes for like the first 5 minutes. And then you're back to doing a whole bunch of nothing. And it's just like, the pacing is just dreadful in those games. Like, I don't know. I guess a lot of people like it. They like the world building and how slow they are to build things. But for me, I prefer a little quicker pacing, I guess.
Fair enough. I mean, I didn't really play that much of the game. I played like, well, at least like 4 or 5 hours, something like that. And I just wasn't a fan.
I know, a lot of people absolutely love those games. Like, it's like they think it's like they're some of the best JRPGs around.
But to answer the question, I'm going to go with Monokemia 2.
That's wow. Okay, I was surprised by that choice. I haven't played it.
Yeah, you would be surprised. I recommend looking up some gameplay of this game after this podcast. And I dare you to not be impressed. It's pretty fun.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's just a shame it's only on PS2. I think there's also a PSP version, but I heard the PSP version wasn't so good. But yeah, it's a really good game. And the turn-based combat actually has a decent amount of depth to it, like more than you would think. Like there's a lot of strategy to it, and it's also really flashy and it moves really quickly. So definitely recommend it. And it also remains challenging. Like great game, really great game, awesome combat.
A little tough question for me. I'd have to go with almost anything Shin Megami Tensei, though. Like, I just feel like the battle systems in those games always move really quick, and it's like one of the few games where I feel like debuffs and buffs actually are effective. Like,
that's true. Unlike most other games where at most I may cast haste just to make my characters go faster, I would usually ignore like protect and shit. I'm just like, I don't need that shit.
I mean, I'd probably go either like Shin Megami Tensei 4 or Persona 5, probably my favorite turn-based battle systems.
Persona 5 is definitely the best of the Persona series.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like 105 hours, and it's like I still wasn't bored of the battle system by the end, which is pretty. That's saying something.
Yeah. After I was done with Persona 5, yeah, the combat I'd say is definitely the best in the series. I haven't really played much of the I haven't played Shin Megami Tensei 4 or Apocalypse, so I can't really compare it to that.
Yeah, it's actually not a whole lot different, to be honest. But other than like Shin Megami Tensei 4 being a lot more challenging, like you have to think about what you do more often. I think there's a little more strategy involved.
So that's all of the questions. Again, if you want to ask us some more, go ahead, write down in the comments. And we're going to finish off with the fan favorite, the Ultimate Floyd Instrumentality project. And last time I asked Floyd to watch an anime called Cyber City Edo, which is, it's in the name. It's a cyberpunk type of, anime. I wanted to, show something that a little more entertaining, not trying to be like too cerebral or anything, just like a fun type of anime. So I gotta ask, did you like it?
This is a weird one. Like, I don't know. Like, I found myself kind of bored. I'll be honest. I think, like, there's things I like about it. It reminded me of like Snatcher and like Police Knots, like Kojima's kind of visual novel type games, like with the whole dystopia, futuristic, cyberpunk kind of thing going on. But like the first episode, I liked. Like I like the main character in that. Like I love his dialogue and just his interactions with everyone. But I don't know. It's weird. I just couldn't quite get into it. Like I was finding it hard to stay interested. Like I felt like I was kind of getting distracted, but it's like hard to explain why. Like it's weird. Like I don't know, maybe it's because it's like the main story behind the 3 different episodes. Maybe it's like seen plenty of times before.
Yeah, I'd say of the ones I've recommended, this is easily like on the lower end of the totem pole, but I recommend it because like you were a big fan of sci-fi. I also want, again, like I said before, show you something that's just more straightforward, entertaining, as opposed to something like not Perfect Blue, Magnetic Rose, which was like more of like an experience or something like that.
Yeah, I guess it's like, I don't know. I felt like that first episode I actually liked. I would say like I like the story behind it and the main character, but like the third episode I wasn't a fan of, like the whole vampire thing that it's got going on. I've never been a big fan of that kind of thing.
Not a fan of vampires?
No, like it just does not.
Okay, then I'll have to take a few off the list. It wasn't going to be for this episode, but I was thinking like, oh, maybe I can recommend you Vampire Hunter D, but I guess not.
No, yeah, vampires have never done it for me, unfortunately. And then
shit.
Then the second episode was, I don't know, it just kind of bored me for some reason. I guess because the character I didn't like as much as the first one. The main character in the first one. I forget what the names of the characters are already.
I forget too, just because it's like of the ones I've recommended, I think this is the one that's been the longest since I've seen it.
Yeah, I guess the second one had like he has like this ex-partner who ends up like, betraying him, and I was like, eh.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah.
It's like this is the first stinker.
Yeah, like the visuals I like. I love the 90s, like the early 90s, like visual look to it. And then the soundtrack is awesome. Like the soundtrack, anytime a song would start playing, I was like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the music is good. The music is definitely awesome.
The music's great, yeah. There's also, the dialogue has some like really good moments to it, but a lot of times it's like, I feel like it's just like over the top swearing.
Yeah. That was the thing though with this anime. It did have like multiple dubs, and I recommended that one because of the music more than the dialogue. But yeah, you had to kind of put up with the over the top swearing, which on one hand can be really entertaining, but yeah, I can also see how it can be kind of annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, you didn't totally hate it, so I guess that's something.
No, yeah. That first episode I would say I did like. It's just the other two. I don't know.
I remember when we were first talking, I asked you like about anime that you've seen, and I remember you were telling me that some friends of yours tried to get you into anime, and they were like showing you a bunch of different shows, and you hated almost all of them. So at the very least, I think I've had a better track record than your friends did.
I would say so, for sure. Yeah, there's still nothing yet that's like absolutely amazed me, but I think it will happen. It will happen.
Okay, all right. Well, this next anime that I have is called Area 88.
Area 88.
Now, this one, similar to Gundam, it doesn't have mechs in it, but it has a lot to do with how war can change people and kind of break them down and kind of dehumanize them in a way. Now, it isn't specifically about war itself. The main character becomes a mercenary, and I don't want to spoil too much, but him becoming a mercenary and the situation that he's put in is what changes him throughout his life. And it's really interesting to see, I think, his I guess you could say development, but in another way you can also see it as like his degradation as a character. So this one I think it was made around the same time, so it's still got that 1980s, 1990s like anime visual aesthetic.
Cool, yeah, I really like the 90s anime aesthetic.
But instead of big robots and shit like that, this one is actually about dogfights and fighting in jets.
Okay, so I actually like that more. I like kind of like that kind of more realistic.
Yeah, the main character's a pilot. This one, similar to Cyber City Edo, is only 3 episodes long. I think the total runtime is like 200 minutes.
Okay.
Because I think like the first 2 episodes are shorter, and then the final 3rd episode is like the longest. And I think there's some versions that actually like combine episodes 1 and 2 together as like one big episode.
Okay. So I'm seeing, wow, I didn't know that. The video game UN Squadron is based on this.
Yes.
Interesting. I played that game. That's a good game. It's a good like shoot 'em up game.
There is also a TV series, Ignore It.
Oh yeah?
I hear it's not so good.
CG graphics, apparently.
Just stick with the original 3-episode OVA. And just to kind of explain what the fucking OVA is, just so it's not this weird term that I throw around.
I always hear this term. I don't think I've ever known what it means.
So, anime is distributed mainly in, 5 different ways. TV series, that's self-explanatory, streaming, obviously. Movie format, also self-explanatory. But then there's OVAs and ONAs. OVA stands for Original Video Animation, and ONA stands for Original Net Animation. So think of them as like direct-to-DVD or direct-to-the-internet releases.
Okay.
And it doesn't carry the same negative connotation that it does over here. Because when you think direct-to-DVD, you think...
Steven Seagal in... licensed to whatever.
Right, you immediately think like, so it's trash. But in Japan, it's different. It actually means that they get a higher budget.
Okay.
Which would explain why Cyber City, looks as good as it does. Think of it as like a TV series or, kind of shortened, but getting like the production values of a movie. And in some cases, sometimes that's not even true, where sometimes you get something like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is like 80 episodes long. So, sometimes the rules aren't always consistent, but generally speaking, they're shorter and higher quality. Gundam War in the Pocket, that's an OVA, that's like 6 episodes, really good quality. A lot of Gundams are actually OVAs. The Gundam Thunderbolt specifically, the one I recommended you, that was actually an ONA. That was released to the internet, and then later it got reformatted into a movie, which is the version that you saw.
Oh,
it was the same content. They just like edited it together like a movie.
I see.
Yeah, because it was actually like 3 or 4 episodes, and they just like cut it together. Next one is Area 88. I think Area 88 is way better than Cyber City. Like, I think it's got a good story, good characters. It's not quite a war drama because it's not specifically about war, but it is about being in like war type of situations, like as a mercenary. And, the main character being this jet pilot that is kind of torn from his normal life and is put into this situation.
Sounds good. Yeah, apparently I'm reading that aviation fans really like it.
I've heard some people say it's like Top Gun minus the gay shit. I actually haven't seen Top Gun, so I don't know.
I haven't seen it either, actually. I've seen clips of it, but...
Yeah, I've seen clips of it, and that song, like, Danger Zone!
Yeah, seems so cheesy.
But, I think Area 8's really good. I do have to say, probably don't watch it dubbed.
No?
It's not that good. No.
Okay.
Yeah, dub's not that good.
Okay, we'll go Japanese audio this time.
Yeah, maybe that will because I think you've seen all these anime up to this point dubbed.
That's true, I have.
So maybe this might enhance the experience a bit for you. Maybe, I don't know.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people, for some reason, dubs just don't work for them. I mean, I don't know, it's weird. Like, some people just can't get into dubs and have to watch it in the original Japanese. I can be fine with it either way, but with Area 88, yeah, the dub's not that good, so I'm gonna have to strongly recommend you just stick with the Japanese voices.
Will do.
And hopefully, I don't know, maybe it clicks with you.
It sounds interesting.
Well, I'm at least glad that the one dud so far you didn't outright hate. So I mean, there's that at least.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think that's an episode.
Yeah, it's we covered a lot, I think.
Yeah, this is a pretty meaty episode. So I hope guys enjoyed this. We'll try and get out another episode in a couple of weeks. And yeah, this has been the Final Bosses podcast. Take care, everyone.
Later.